Chapter 1, Part 6. Declan Fitzpatrick, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the next in line for the position of Prime Minister in Ireland, arrived at Blackstaff Manor around 9 p.m. He had trailed Colin King to Blackstaff after King's meeting with Minister Brady earlier that day. Minister Fitzpatrick's schedule was closely monitored by many, especially during the Christmas season and amid the looming Brexit concerns. Referring to him as Minister Fitzpatrick was crucial. He would never be addressed as Tánaiste Fitzpatrick. That title belonged solely to his father. Holding an impromptu meeting with Colin King at Blackstaff Manor, especially in the midst of a snowy night, was an extraordinary event that was actively avoided. Minister Fitzpatrick had spent his entire political career distancing himself from his secretive mentor. Being associated with King would spell the end of his political journey, as King was widely disliked by those he dealt with, including the entire Irish farming community. Fitzpatrick's frustration was palpable as he had to arrange for a non-government vehicle, elude his staff, driver, and accompanying security, and drive a challenging 90-minute journey from Dublin to Blackstaff in icy and snowy conditions. This situation further infuriated him because it meant a delay in reuniting with his family in Galway who had not seen him for several weeks, all due to his summons to Blackstaff Manor by King. Fitzpatrick, the second in command of the Irish government and a global leader overseeing the historic event of Brexit on Ireland's behalf, found himself under King's control as if he were a slave. That evening, King had summoned him to Blackstaff Manor, and Fitzpatrick had no choice but to comply. While driving up the mile-long driveway to the manor, Fitzpatrick noticed faint, flickering lights on the edge of Blackstaff Forest that bordered the drive in the distance. Upon arriving at the front of the manor house, he was surprised to find no other cars and no visible activity, except for two lights flanking the main door and scaffolding covering most of the grand front exterior. Fitzpatrick wondered where King's cars were. Apart from a €12 million helicopter on the front lawn, there was no indication of anyone's presence. The only lights in the darkness of Blackstaff were the distant flickers from the forest, which suddenly dimmed. While this scene might have unsettled newcomers to Blackstaff, Fitzpatrick, having known King for most of his life and visited Blackstaff secretly multiple times, remained unfazed. Minister Fitzpatrick met with silence after several knocks on the manor's front doors, received a text on his dedicated burner phone with a simple message, "Come in." Turning the doorknob and pushing the door open, he entered a dark lobby that led to the vast grand hall. The hall itself was shrouded in darkness, except for the warm, flickering glow of a massive fireplace on the right side. Due to ongoing restoration work in the adjacent rooms, the grand hall resembled a large solitary executive suite. A dining table with chairs occupied the center, flanked by two seating areas. One set was located in the dark with what appeared to be a large TV nearby, while the other was arranged around the grand fireplace where King sat. Drapes covered the entrances to the adjoining rooms, concealing the ongoing construction. The main staircase, situated at the back of the grand hall, curved from upstairs to downstairs. There was a light emanating from the lower level, where King had infamously initiated construction projects such as an in-ground pool in defiance of county planning regulations and preservation orders governing Blackstaff Manor's 800-year-old structure. While the upstairs remained unobstructed, it appeared completely dark except for the glow seeping from behind the staircase. "Hello, Colin," Fitzpatrick greeted as he entered and walked over to where King sat, gazing into the roaring fire that emitted a considerable amount of heat into the drafty grand hall of Blackstaff Manor. Just as Fitzpatrick arrived, he heard a faint sound from downstairs, resembling a closing door. "Take a seat," King ordered, his tone devoid of warmth as Fitzpatrick settled into one of the makeshift seating areas. Two three-seater couches faced each other, with two high-end chairs positioned between them around a rectangular coffee table. Opposite the chairs, about 10 feet away, loomed a 6-foot fireplace. large enough for a person to stand inside without bumping their head, at least for King and his cohort of diminutive associates. King, half reclining on one of the couches, gestured for Fitzpatrick to sit across from him. He continued, "Although the house is under renovation, it's still the only place I know is entirely secure. No one is here. We've relocated Rosie to a house across town, but I decided to use Blackstaff regardless. If you'd like a drink, there's a coffee machine, water, and other amenities Brennan arranged before his departure." Fitzpatrick nodded and said, "I'll grab a coffee. It'll help me stay awake for the drive back to Galway after this." He selected a coffee cup from the assortment on the table and swiftly positioned it beneath the coffee machine spout. Without delay, he selected cappuccino on the high-end coffee machine. As the cappuccino and steamed milk brewed into the cup, Fitzpatrick added a spoonful of sugar and stirred, wasting not a moment of his precious time. With the cup placed neatly on its saucer, Fitzpatrick returned to his seat. As he started to sit down on the couch directly across from King, he inquired, "So, Colin, what can I do for you?" Fitzpatrick did his best to maintain his composure despite the unexpected and pressing nature of this meeting with King. "Why did I call you here?" King retorted with a malevolent tone. "I think you know damn well why," he exclaimed, leaning forward on the couch's edge. "That damn Brady is the reason, and the fact that my government tried to blindside me today, and you damn well knew about it, is why you were here." King's voice rose to a fevered pitch. Fitzpatrick, equally furious, sat up on his couch, ready to retaliate. "First, I knew the meeting was happening, as Cohen and I discussed and planned it almost 2 weeks ago when it was scheduled. Second, I had no knowledge that it was taking place in the sub-level 2 rooms, which Minister Brady organized without informing me or any other cabinet member. Third, I heard it unfolded exactly as we had anticipated. The government was not complicit in this ambush, which, I must remind you, would implicate me just as much as you. It would be self-sabotage for us if this ever saw the light of day." Growing firmer but maintaining respect, Fitzpatrick added, "I could have conveyed this information to you over the phone, rather than being summoned here, which, I might add, was no easy feat to keep discreet." "I don't need a damn history lesson," King snapped at Fitzpatrick, his voice escalating once again. "I also don't need to revisit the history of you inheriting your father's political seat after his death, or the times you needed my help to avoid losing your last election. I've been saving your damn ass all along. Your fancy position exists for one reason, which I shouldn't have to remind you, is to protect me and our associates. It was your damn job to be aware of the situation we were walking into, especially since it was being recorded," King bellowed, prompting Fitzpatrick to retreat from his confrontational stance and slump back into the sofa, knowing full well that King was right. Fitzpatrick, now adopting a much humbler tone, replied, "I apologize, but as I mentioned earlier, Minister Brady organized the meeting rooms without my knowledge." King interjected, "And damn well recorded it. It's in the official record." In an attempt to placate King, Fitzpatrick said, "If the recording is the issue, I'll take care of it. It'll be erased by tomorrow. I'll personally ensure that happens." "You damn well better," King responded, his voice still dripping with anger. Then, referring to someone Fitzpatrick knew closely, King asked, "What about the dick sucker?" Fitzpatrick, unsure of which of King's associates he was referring to, asked cautiously, "Are you talking about the Prime Minister?" "Who the hell else would I be talking about?" King replied, leaving no room for doubt. Fitzpatrick responded firmly, "You know he wants nothing to do with this. His top priority is plausible deniability, and I've assured him of that. He's not out to get you either, no one is. We want this issue resolved immediately, and you have my word that it will be." King, unrelenting, commanded, "Well, it damn well better be. And while you're at it, get rid of that damn Brady. I don't care how it's done, but she has to go. Start the process now." At that moment, another sound echoed from the stairs leading down to the basement, catching Fitzpatrick's attention. "Is someone here?" he asked King, surprised to hear any other presence in Blackstaff Manor. King quickly dismissed the question, saying, "It's probably Brennan. He hasn't gone home yet." but Fitzpatrick countered, "I thought you said he went home." Ignoring Fitzpatrick's query, King stared back into the roaring fire, lost in its flames.